Hello everybody, this is David. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're starting a 4-part series on how Jesus is pictured in the Bible, how Jesus is portrayed in every book of the Bible. The Bible is about Jesus. He is pictured or prophesied about in each of the 66 books of the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, through what's called types or shadows or patterns or figures. Now, what they are is like a hint that God has given to show there's a special occasion coming up. There is a parallel in our own lives. You know, when Christmas is coming up, we might drop hints to our children. When there's a special anniversary coming up, we might drop hints to our husband or wife. So God has done exactly the same. He's dropped hints and he's shown that Jesus is coming, that Jesus the Messiah is coming. So what I wanted to do, just go in this part 1, I'm just going to look at a few of the we're going to be looking at the first half of the Old Testament, and we're going to see how Jesus is portrayed in those books. So in the book of Genesis, he is portrayed as the seed of the woman. We see that the Messiah would be born of the seed of the woman in Genesis chapter 3 verse 15, and that's also referred to in Luke chapter 1 verses 34 to 35. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the references to where I'm going or coming from in the description of the video, so that you may have a look for yourself and see for yourself how Jesus is portrayed. We also see that the Messiah would be a descendant of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and we also see that the Messiah would be a king in the line of Judah. And in the book of Genesis, he's typified in the life of the person of Melchizedek, also in the life of Isaac, who is referred to as like the sacrificed son, and also in the life of Joseph, who is referred to as the rejected brother. So that's the book of Genesis. In the book of Exodus, Jesus is, we see that he is the Passover lamb, typified in the life of Moses as the deliverer, the Passover lamb in Exodus 12. He is also the manna from heaven in Exodus 16, and the rock struck at Horeb in Exodus 17. We also see that in the book of Exodus the tabernacle, which is an amazing structure, is a kind of a picture of the Trinity, and we'll be doing a study on the tabernacle at a later date. In the book of Leviticus, he's seen as the high priest, typified in the sacrifices and the offerings. In the Jewish festivals, for example, Passover and atonement. We also see it in the scapegoats and in the person and the duties of the high priest. So in the book of Numbers, we see him as the cloud and the fire, and that the Messiah would be a king from Numbers chapter 24. He's also typified in the bronze serpent, where when the bronze serpent is lifted up, because of the sin and of the people of Israel, and Moses makes a bronze serpent, and Jesus Christ himself refers to that when he says, "If I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me." We also see that he's water from the rock, Numbers 20. In the book of Deuteronomy, we see that he is the prophet like Moses, that the Messiah will be a prophet, that the Messiah will be worshipped by the angels. And he's also typified in the cities of refuge. In the book of Joshua, we see that he's the captain of our salvation, typified in the person of Joshua, our leader into the promised land. and also in the promised land, in the commander of the army. In Judges, he's the judge and the lawgiver. He is the true judge of the living and the dead. In the book of Ruth, he is the kinsman redeemer. The Messiah would be a descendant of Boaz and Ruth. That's a very important point to make here, that outsiders were welcomed into the messianic line. You might feel that you're an outsider, but Jesus is ready to welcome you. In the book of 1 and 2 Samuel, he's referred to as the prophet of the Lord, that the Messiah would be exalted by God with power, that the Messiah would be a descendant of David, that the Messiah would be the rock. He's typified in the life of David as in the king in exile, and in the life of Jonathan as the faithful friend. In 1 and 2 Kings, we see him as the reigning king, typified in the life of Solomon, which is a picture of the millennial reign of Christ. We also see him in the life and miracles of the prophet Elisha, who multiplied bread and healed the leper. In 1 and 2 Chronicles, we see him as the glorious temple. The Messiah would be from the tribe of Judah, and he would be typified in Solomon's temple, but also in the wisdom of Solomon. In Ezra, we see him as the faithful scribe, typified in the person of Zerubbabel, the rebuilder of the temple. In Nehemiah, we see him as the rebuilder of the walls, typified in the person of Nehemiah, who was the rebuilder of the walls of salvation. In Esther, the book of Esther, we see him as Mordecai. Mordecai was the rescuer of the Jewish people. In the book of Job, we see him as the dayspring from on high, and typified in the sufferings of Job and the blessings that would follow. And in the book of Psalms, we see him as the Lord who is our shepherd. The Messiah would be the Son of God, Psalm 2. Messiah would be resurrected, Psalm 16. Messiah would be despised and crucified, Psalm 22. Messiah would be hated without cause, Psalm 69. The Messiah would be Lord, seated at the right hand of God, Psalm 110. And Messiah would be in the line of Melchizedek, Psalm 110. Messiah would be the stone rejected by the Jews, Psalm 118. And there's many messianic psalms in the Psalms as well. So here we are. This is the end of part 1. I will be doing part 2 shortly. So thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you in part 2. Thank you very much.